This week in the Loud Quiet, did we reconnect in Mexico?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Loud Quiet. Today we thought we'd talk about connecting or reconnecting with each other. We are about to go on a little vacation and
Finally.
yeah. And this vacation is different because we are going to a resort in Mexico, and this is the kind of vacation where you have nothing planned. You know, most of our vacations either revolve around, or trips, I wouldn't even call them vacations, going to visit a child or a conference lately.
Family business.
Yes. Or, we did take a fun trip to Germany, just the two of us, but we were also there with part of my family, and it was go, go, go. We did so many things because you want to see everything when you're there. So this is the first trip in a while that there's nothing planned except what drink would I like off of
And that's
all
not
of the
planned,
drinks
though.
offered. No, it's not planned. It's just those are the kind of things that that's the bandwidth amount that I will have to be using. Which swimsuit am I wearing today?
Let's talk about the planning that we did. You and I just talked before we were hitting record. Do we go to Walmart to buy the sunscreen before the pedicures or after the pedicures? So that's the level of planning that we're doing. And for those that are new to the Loud Quiet, you will soon come to find out that travel is a very important part of our lives. And we have created a travel tips and gear guide. So if you head over to the Loud Quiet, you can sign up for the newsletter. And when you do, you'll get that free tips and gear guide for the empty nesters. Some things that we personally use, personally love, and definitely recommend. And some just tips on how to make travel at this stage of life even better than what you might have experienced before.
I mean, really, this thought came to me today sitting in church because she was talking about connecting. And so I got to thinking, maybe we should do it before and after and talk about what things we're looking forward to on this trip. And then when we get back, see if those things.
How did those connections do?
How did the connections do and how did it play out? And we know it's hard sometimes to get away, even when you are in the empty nest, because you still have responsibilities. Many of us still have jobs that we
empty nest does not mean retirement.
No, we have emphasized our entire relationship how important it is to get time with each other away from everything. And if you can't get to Mexico, just go to a hotel in your town. You have to get out of your house, because if you say, oh, we're just going to do a staycation this weekend, but you stay in your house, it's not going to happen because you get distracted by everything in your house. Oh, that pantry I need to clean out. Oh, let's talk about this. Things just tie you back to the things that have to get done.
And you fall back into your rhythms. You would go back to watch a TV show that you want to watch. I would go watch this thing, or we would do our own independent things. Whereas when you're away, it forces it forces togetherness. And we have talked about in episodes in the past, and I'll put that, for those of you that are watching here on YouTube, I'll put it up there in a card of an episode. We've talked about how travel saved our marriage at one point. We were at a low point and travel did that. We're not at this point, but we are recognizing, hey, we haven't done this just us, just nothing travel.
Yeah. And that story's in the book too. You can read it when our book comes out later this year.
That's right. Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, it is in there as well.
But yeah, okay. So let me ask you, what are you looking forward to on this trip?
You and I have spent so much time together since we started working in business together.
The way you say that sounds. It doesn't sound good.
Well, I'm going to finish my sentence.
You and I have spent so much time together.
I'm emphasizing to make a point. And that time has been productive. It has actually connected us. We've had discussions that we wouldn't otherwise had. We've had creative debates, all of those things. It's work, though. And I'm looking forward to being able to live life with you without work. I think that, I mean, heck, sometimes I even reserve stories during the day so that when we finish our workday, that we have something to talk about. I'm looking forward to, well, to spending time with Clancy, my wife, not Clancy, my business partner. So that's one of mine. I guarantee there's a ton more that I'm looking forward to. What about you?
I I would say the same thing. Work has definitely been our focus when we're here in the house, and even when we've been on these other trips that I've talked about, because several of them have been work
Yeah, podcast
focused
conference.
trips.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yes, just us being able to be us
Yeah.
and just enjoy time together. I also love people watching. I love watching dynamics between other couples, and we are going to an all adults. So that's always fascinating to me. And I do enjoy that. And then, you know, we also create stories about what we think is going on with some of those
Okay, that makes
people.
it sound horrible, but it's
No, everyone does it. Everyone does it. I mean, I know there's times where like, ooh, I think she's mad, and you can tell. And then, you know, even at like dinner, sometimes you can tell if there's been tension or something. And I'm sure we've been one of
I was
those
going to say,
couples before.
somebody
That
listening is
people
going,
have looked
karma's
at
going to bite you in the
Yeah,
ass.
hey. And then I'm just looking forward to some relaxation time where the only thoughts I have to think are, what is going to be my next drink? Which restaurant are we going to tonight? You know, what outfit am I going to throw on? I'm very much looking forward
Yeah.
to just almost disconnecting from
Yeah.
some of the things back here. Nothing is bad. I think we
Yeah.
just need some downtime.
You talked about the disconnecting, and I think that disconnecting actually helps our connecting. And there's a couple of layers there. One is there's so much of an inflood of news and doom scrolls, but there's something about being away that suddenly the news just doesn't matter as much anymore. That the shutdown isn't going to be the biggest focus, or what's happening.
Unless it messes with our flights.
Don't say that out loud.
Then,
Don't say
then
that
it
out
will,
loud. Don't say
then
that
it
out
will
loud.
be.
And I mean, I'll say it very, candidly here too. There's something when we get that kind of disconnection where it's just you and me, that it changes our romance, our intimacy, and our sex. It is, I am looking forward to resort sex. And if that makes anyone uncomfortable, then don't listen to a show that has couples on it that are willing to say things. But it's different. We're just more relaxed and just more. I separate the words intimacy and sex there. We're also just intimate. We hold each other. We hold hands when we walk the resort. There's just things that maybe you just don't do as much when you're living in your house, but when you're at a resort, you find that couple connection again.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yes, I am looking forward to those things as well. So
Did I just coin a term? Have you ever heard resort sex before?
I don't know. I've heard birthday sex,
Yeah,
but
because it's a song, but I don't, and
sure,
many other
but
phrases.
I've heard
But yeah.
many women say, "Oh, it's his birthday," so I know what that means.
Well, then we have coined a new term brought to you by the Loud Quiet Resort Sex.
So those are the things that, yes, we're looking forward to. What are we going into this trip with a little bit of caution about, maybe?
It's hard after thinking about all the happy parts. But, there's the basics of logistics and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of stuff. But that's sort of out of our control. I think the things that maybe are more in my control is not letting basically everything that I just said earlier, not letting the opposite of that happen. Yeah, I bet you and I talk about work. We probably will mention the book and things and marketing planning, that kind of stuff, but not letting it really become a part of this isn't a corporate retreat. And so that is a hiccup that could kind of derail some of that connectivity if we use the time to make it a corporate retreat rather than a couple's retreat. I don't know.
And it will, because we both know we can't go for 4 days and try not to talk about it. That would be even worse than talking about it.
Because then it would hang over your
yes.
head like, well, I can't talk about it.
Because
so what else am I going to talk about?
you know it will come up in conversations. Because, I like to talk to people when we go to these places.
That's a hiccup.
Yeah, I know. I've gotten you there a little bit. You're a little better.
I refuse to acknowledge the existence of other humans at the resort in the past.
But I'm sure, and that is one of my thoughts too, is, I don't want it to take over our conversation, but I also realize it's our life. So it is going to be part of the conversation. Our kids will be part of the conversation, even though they are
probably texting
nowhere
us.
near us. Yes.
Actually, we'll be taunting them. So that'll be part of it. Look what we're doing. Ha ha.
I think, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, when we would go to Mexico and I saw the weather report, I'd be upset if there was any chance of rain in there. Now, as an adult, and now that I know, more about skin cancer and really care about skin cancer, if it's raining, I don't care. We just go under the porch and have our drinks there instead of being 24/7 in the sun.
Yeah.
I'm just really looking forward to just getting away for a few days. And again, like I said, to somewhere that we have no responsibilities at all. It's going to be so nice.
I think if I were to add one more hiccup, it's actually inspired by what you just said there. A hiccup is placing too many expectations on a trip that shouldn't have any expectations. Even just this conversation that really is kind of impulsive. You came up with the idea this morning and it's kind of impulsive. This is not something that we've planned out for weeks. Even this is adding some of the pressure of expectations on there. And I know that we have had actual fights on trips when expectations in different categories weren't met. And I think we have gotten mature enough now in our relationship to, one, acknowledge that, hey, I had this expectation to have that kind of communication, but also to recognize, okay, that is a risk, but I'm not going to let that become a risk and just kind of let it roll. But if we're talking about what could be a hiccup, it'd be allowing the expectations to pollute the enjoyment of the reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the key word there is, yes, we have matured in our relationship and in our age. There's just that maturity that comes with, I think we've both gotten a little touch of I just don't care if something, certain things, yes, but we let things roll off our back more now than I think we did probably 10 years ago.
I think so too. And to clarify, there's kind of two sets there. There's the expectations of what is the other things, what is the resort, what is the flight, what is all that going to be, but then there's also the expectations that we have with each other on what a vacation experience is with each other. And even that we've learned to sort of roll with. And no, that doesn't mean that there's never fights. We never have disagreements or anything like that, but we've learned to do that better.
And I think also we've done this vacation several times.
Yeah.
So we kind of know how, I know what you're expecting and I know what I'm expecting. And so I think our expectations probably match up more than they differ.
As long as the swim up bar is close enough, we're good.
And it's covered because if it's raining, then we can still be. Oh, but that's one thing. Okay,
oh my gosh, what just happened?
It's going to be, cool. And if any of you know me, I don't get in the water unless it's like 90 degrees. So I'm hoping the water is not too cold, but it'll be fine. No.
You'll just have to...
maybe I should wear a wetsuit. It's not that cold.
Ooh, that is some sexy resort outfit right there. Hey, look, there's my wife in the wetsuit.
Well,
actually,
they're form-fitting.
You know I was going to say, let me take that back. Okay, all right.
I don't own a wetsuit. I'm not getting a wetsuit, but
so I think that's us going into the trip. That's it. We'll and
We'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah, those of you listening, you're just going to keep hearing the rest. This doesn't end it.
Yeah.
We're going to bolt the okay, what happened onto the end of this one, and we'll see what it is.
So stay tuned to hear if our expectations were met or not, and we will share if we got in a fight or not, I guess.
Ooh, I like that. Well, full transparency. All right.
All right, so we're back from our trip to Mexico.
Now, I want to make one observation, and that is, look at what we're wearing.
It's
You're
cold.
watching so it got cold while we were gone, so we picked a great week to be gone. It's a little comical to me to think about what we were wearing a few days ago as compared to what we are wearing now.
Now, it was the day that we left. It was starting to turn a little bit cooler in Mexico. So you've got to find that fine line of timing for these trips.
Which is one of the best things about being an empty nester, is you
right.
can hit that fine line.
Because even the way this resort was set up, the main pool bar, I never sat up there once because it was in the shade and it was too cold.
So I don't even know if we talked about that as an expectation, but if we think about that, I know that's one of your favorite things about these trips is sitting up at the swim up bar. That didn't happen.
No.
Although I hate to lead with a negative. Let's lead with this.
Oh, yeah.
This was an amazing
No.
experience.
I am very water temperature sensitive. I don't get into our own pool until it's 90 degrees in the water.
Is that a condition?
So if you're watching, I was walking around the pool, which at least I could walk around this whole pool. There were no deep parts, but I had my arms out of the water and some guy said, "Put your arms in. It's not that cold." I said, "I'm from Texas. It's cold."
There were a lot of folks, yes. I don't know which one that guy was, whether they were Iowa or Minnesota or Canada. We
all
had some
those
of
people
that.
were like up in the shade, yeah. No.
All right.
But
So
yes, no, it was a fabulous trip, fabulous property.
Yeah.
If you are looking for a quick getaway, the Excellence Coral Playa Mujeres, which is outside of Cancun, excellent property.
Yeah. And this is kind of kick it up a notch, right? There is a luxury element to this, and there can be an element of that pricing as well. So I want to be
Yes.
open about that this is a good place and it is priced appropriately. However, it's not, say, to like a Four Seasons or a Waldorf. It's although it sure felt like it at times.
It's an all adults, and it's a new property, 6 months old. So, I mean, the room was fabulous. I wish I would have taken a picture of the closet.
I think it was huge.
Huge walk-in closet that we don't stay at all-inclusives for typically more than 3 nights because I just can't. You want to eat and drink everything while you're there. I mean, I don't drink as much as I used to when we were younger, but you feel like it's there, it's available, let me have it. So by the, whatever day, I'm like, all right, I'm done now. We have to go. But there are people there that stay for 7 days, 2 weeks. That closet would be amazing if you were truly unpacking to stay for a week.
What was the only complaint that I had about that? And it was, oh, I wish that there were a butler service to unpack my clothes and hang them up. We had some expectations coming into this trip. And let's talk about some of those. I know that one of them was an escape from kind of work. And we'll summarize these into sort of a category, but escape from work, an escape from the world, a true unplugging. All right. Did it meet those expectations?
Oh, for sure. I don't feel like, and going with that, that was an expectation. And also an obstacle that we both talked about was, are we going to let work creep into our conversations? And, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, I don't know that we really talked about it hardly at all.
There were a very, Very few, and I would put that in the conversation if it's okay. We had, and hey, we'll say this here, we had a couple of milestones that were thrown as alerts to us through Spotify. So thanks to all of you who are listening and watching. We have over 5,000 downloads now. So we talked about some of those kind of stat things, but it was, oh man, that's awesome. We're definitely going to celebrate that when we get back. Hey, do you want to get a strawberry daiquiri? So
We also got a few notifications that we do have some new newsletter signups. So again, thank you so much, you guys. And don't forget, you can go to theloudquiet.com and see all the places to sign up for our community, the newsletter, all those types of things. But yeah, so we saw some of those. But I mean, I was just on the way home from church today cleaning out my email because I didn't even open my email barely. So that was very nice.
I did. Now, here's a tip. I did this. I would open up my email because I get that little red dot. Now, I've turned most of my red notifications off, and that's the smartest. There's tip one. Turn your little red notifications off. My email one is there, but if I saw that it was work-related, I would use the snooze function. That is one of the best functions there because then I don't have to worry about forgetting it, but I can get it out of my inbox so it is gone. And so, Monday morning is going to be a of unsnoozing. It was worth every bit of it, though, to hide that. So I think the expectation of could we unplug? Yes, we achieved that. Yes, we avoided some of those obstacles by using some of the tools and the conscious choice to do that.
And I think, because I think about, we really were together all the time, like even to the point that, I would get up and go to the gym, then we'd meet back up and we would walk. And, even on those walks, right, I don't really even remember what we were talking about, but I just think we did a very good job of trying to keep the stuff out that we can get down rabbit holes, and that becomes our entire focus.
So let's talk about that, because one of the other expectations for this trip was reconnecting as a couple. We had talked about not having taken a trip for just us for no purpose other than just us. We've taken some couples trips, but they had another purpose. This really was just to go and be us. How would you say we did as far as that expectation?
Oh, I think very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we had the right amount of don't talk to me, I'm reading or doing my crossword puzzles versus chatting about, whatever that
It did
came up.
I think it felt seamless. And I think some of that, well, is a little bit, I love that you brought that into it of don't talk to me because I'm doing my X or Y or whatever that is. I think that's different now than when we were younger is you can say something like that and I'm like, oh, cool. All right. Whereas I might have reacted differently when I was younger.
Yeah, I think that's just a maturity in age and relationship. And it was interesting, I guess, the last all adults resort that you and I went to, our kids were still younger. And so I didn't really notice that one. I don't really remember talking to that many people at either. It was a very much not as social as this one. I mean, like when we jumped in the pool the first time and we're walking around they had these amazing floats in the pool that looked like they came off of chairs. They looked like loungers, but they floated enough that you could put your drink on it and walk around with it. It was great. I love those. But
And you could keep your arms out of the water
yes,
for you.
Yeah. So we would just be walking around and I mean, people were like, hey, where are you from? And I think, again, that goes to the age of those people that were asking those questions were closer to our age.
Yeah.
Then I loved seeing there's one couple in particular that I'm thinking of when they came and sat down next to us in the chairs next to us. You got up to go do something and I said, are y'all here celebrating something? And they're, oh, we just got married, And I said, oh, yeah. And in my head, I'm thinking, yes, I could tell because it was so, okay, I'm going to go do this. Do you want to come with me or do you want to stay here? Or do you want to do this? And, oh, sweetie, honey, it was very much, you could tell that.
Wait a second. What are you saying with that?
that I can get up and go somewhere and I don't say, do you need to come with me? Do you want to come with me? No, I'm just going to go do this. And, or if you say, hey, I'm going to go to the Sky Lounge bar, great. I'll meet you downstairs when I'm done getting ready. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a, you have to sit in the room and wait for me until
Get
I'm
ready,
done.
like,
Or,
hey,
or,
I know you got a few extra minutes to
Yeah.
get ready than I do. I'm going to go ahead
or
and take
again,
off.
like, I went to the gym in the morning. You wanted to sit out on our balcony. Great.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any guilt leaving you, and I'm sure you did not feel like, why is she not staying in here with me?
So that the talking part of it is something that was going to be an obstacle to our connection or that kind of thing, because over talking to other people at the resort. And I will confidently say it wasn't an obstacle to us becoming a couple. One, we were kind of joking about it. It was interesting to your point, though, of the people that we did meet. There were these two guys that were friends. One lived in D.C., one lived in Minnesota.
Yeah, Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Minneapolis, Minnesota. And one of them is deeply visually impaired, became visually impaired later in life. They've been friends, and getting to talk to them and getting to hear their story. We ended up next to them at the Martini Bar 2 nights in a row, not by choice, it just kind of happened. And those kind of natural conversations ended up not diminishing our ability to connect as a couple. It actually sort of enhanced it because it added to the tapestry that was this vacation that allowed us to enjoy it together.
And it ended up that we had some deeper connections with them, like that, or with Paul specifically. His sister lives outside of Tucson, so we talked about all of Tucson, and so it is interesting when you do get to chat with people that. And some you can figure out real quick. Yeah, I don't want to keep this conversation going, but some you do.
You know what? We're human. Let's just be honest. Hey, look, not everybody gets along with everybody,
No,
and so
there's
yes.
people that probably thought that we looked unapproachable.
All right. I had talked about resort sex and the enjoyment of just being together as a couple, and not just the sex, but also just the cuddles, the affection, that sort of thing. Do we feel we met that expectation?
Well, do you feel like your expectation was met? Because you were the one that brought that up.
I guess as I'm saying, yes, right?
Okay, I was going to say it better be yes.
Well, no, I had a lot of thoughts too. Oh, why? Better be yes. So funny. Yeah,
I was there. I know what happened, so it better be yes.
You know, it's just the sex part of it, absolutely, right? Certainly, you're there. There's more opportunities for that than you have at home or choose to have at home and that sort of thing. So absolutely.
I think, and I don't know what it is, but I think, yes, when you're on a trip, especially a beach vacation, we don't typically go cold places for a couples trip. Maybe we'll try that next time. But I think there's just something, it brings out a side of affection that isn't always, not necessarily shown, but it gets heightened when you're in a setting like that. And you are just literally sitting in 2 lounge chairs next to each other.
Yeah.
Versus when we're at home, there's so many other things to be focused on and doing. But when you really have literally nothing to do besides which bar do you want to go to before dinner tonight, which, it just allows that, almost opens up that space in your brain for that emotional and affectionate side to have more space.
Yeah, even simple things like the fact that you're walking to dinner. Well, there's an opportunity to hold hands together. We don't really hold hands as we walk as I'm making iced tea glasses in the kitchen to the kitchen table as we sit down.
Yeah, because I'm making dinner. So, yes.
It gets into some of the things that we all had talked about that weren't necessarily haha resort sex, but the idea of the only decisions that we were hoping to make were exactly that. Where dinner, which drink, those sorts of things. And that simplicity just, it unclogs the brain and allows that romance, intimacy, and sex capability that exists in a loving couple.
Speaking of, talking about deciding on the bars and restaurants, I know one of our expectations was you didn't want to have to feel pressured to go get seats anywhere.
Yes.
And we didn't know how the reservation situation was going to be.
Restaurant reservations, get that
So,
lounger, all that
yeah.
garbage. Yeah.
I will say, without any caveat, there was none of that pressure anywhere. There were tons of seats available. And now I know the night before the day we were leaving, there were 5 weddings that were about to take place. So you could see the shift in the clientele of what it was when we got there on Tuesday, Wednesday. Most people were low key, our age. There were still people downing the beverages, but it wasn't that loud, crazy, obnoxious stuff. You could tell by Thursday afternoon there were a couple people that, okay, it's gonna get a little crazy, I think, in here on Friday and Saturday. And there were also big groups coming in, which again, totally fine, but that just switched the dynamic a little bit. So that was interesting. But
So almost a lesson to take away from that I would take away from that and did is, if we want that kind of vacation that we had, the empty nest flexibility is so nice that you go there Monday to Thursday,
week,
which makes sense
Yeah.
because folks that are at this stage of life tend to have more freedom.
Yeah.
Some are more closer to, or already in retirement. So a Monday is the same thing as a Saturday, but the wedding tends to happen on the weekend.
yeah. So, we didn't have any issues getting into the restaurants. The food at this resort and the drinks were some of the best that we've had at all inclusives. I mean, even to the point that there was a specific bar called the Martini Bar. Well, martinis are my drink. That's pretty much all I drink. And I've just recently enjoyed the espresso martini. I was like, I don't know. Well, yes, they had it on their menu. And I mean, to the point that he made it and then took out this little chocolate sauce and drew on top of it.
Different words, different
yeah,
phrases, different
yeah.
pictures, different.
Yeah, I've never had anything like that at any level of all inclusive that we've been to before. So that was really, really nice.
I know that we had in that, like we talked about the no chairs, having to worry about that. There is an element of, we had hoped to have a very roll with that attitude, and a roll with that attitude. I think we absolutely did. We weren't called upon to have much of a roll with that attitude, except there were a couple of travel logistics hiccups.
That's what I was going to say, except for flights.
Except for, in the end, I think there was an element of, we still maintained the roll with it attitude of, okay, so the plane had a bird strike before it landed in Houston, and they had to do all sorts of inspections that delayed it. Yeah, we're annoyed that they did it in a weird timing. In the end, though, we're delayed an hour. You show up at the resort later than you expected, and we still got into our swimsuits. We still embraced whatever was left of that, and roll with it meant, you know what? If we're starting later, then we're going to eat dinner later. And those that know Clancy and me, there's an earlier eating, and like a lot of us as we get older, we kind of just prefer that. Well, no, we were having dinner that
At
first night at
8:30,
and I think it was probably not eating till 9:30, which a lot of times that's lights out.
Yeah.
So that kind of roll with it, I think we did maintain, even in spite of hiccups like travel logistics, which on the grand scheme of things were pretty mild. After a fully packed month. And we've got a nice little coda of travel that comes after this that'll be a nice... Well, that's why I'm calling it a coda.
No, I know. I'm just saying I will be detoxing this week because of where we're going next.
Yeah. If anybody has a replacement liver or stomach lining...
And mine's not so much the alcohol, it's the food. Because the place we're going
is known for its eating. It was a great trip. And I feel very confident in knowing that it did help us connect as a couple, even comically so that when we came back, there was a lot of, okay, separation time.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time watching college football yesterday. You had no interest in watching college football to the same degree that I did, and that was totally fine. And I think those kind of things are fine when you have really built up that couple's tank like we did, that it's also okay to build up that individual tank. It was great.
It was. And, we'd love to hear from y'all if, what's one of your favorite couples trips that you've done as an empty nester? Where should we go next? I do want to explore, that is, we haven't done cold weather. So maybe we should try, I don't necessarily love skiing anymore like I used to, but maybe we try somewhere in the mountains or something next
I
time.
like that. If anybody knows any of this, I've seen some of those kind of clear igloos for northern lights and that kind of thing. So maybe there's some of that. So look at your face.
Where do you do that though?
Canada, maybe some.
Okay, I was thinking a little more low key than something like that. I was
Well,
thinking
you said cold weather.
Well,
we live in Dallas.
Colorado. I was like, wait, we're not going back to Iceland. We just were there.
So if you know of a good place in Siberia, you just let us know, okay? So yeah, seriously, y'all let us know what are the trips that y'all have enjoyed, where, or even the moments that you have reconnected as a couple. Be that a trip, be that a moment. Share that out on the Facebook community group, The Loud, Quiet, Emptiness Living. And thanks again, y'all, for listening to another episode of The Loud, Quiet.